big project at the moment is a game called Moshi Monsters, which is the world of adoptable pet monsters. It's sort of like a cross between Tamagotchi and Facebook for kids. And it's a really exciting category. We heard about virtual pets earlier. It's not a niche, silly little category. It's a huge multi-billion-dollar global business, one of the biggest parts of the toy industry. I used to run a company called Firebox, and would travel around the world to trade shows, and something that always caught my eye was virtual pets. There was always new evolutions coming out, so Beanie Babies, Tamagotchi, 70 million units sold. Furby, a huge hit in the late 90s. Neopets, about 200 million have been adopted. I think Nintendogs is the best-selling product on the DS platform. Webkinz, a very innovative model in the US where you buy a pet offline, and it's got a unique code around its neck that unlocks content online. But we wanted to move things forward and create a new type of virtual pet. Broadband was taking off, flash technologies were improving, and we wanted to create a very emotionally rich animated pet that crucially had social features. So that was the starting point of Moshi Monsters. Now, at MindCandy, we love Facebook. All of us, apart from Ben, who's our sysadmin, he doesn't like Facebook, but that's all right, the rest of us love it. When we were developing Moshi in the very early days, we built a very simple app for Facebook back in 2007. We buy Facebook advertising, which drives traffic to Moshi, and that's very profitable for us. We also use it personally a lot. But when we were developing the game, we made the decision to build our social game outside of Facebook. And shock horror, as crazy as that may seem, it was a decision we took, and it's been working for us. So there are obviously advantages of building within Facebook. There are disadvantages as well. Obviously, some of the big disadvantages are it's more expensive. Moshi costs several $1 million to build. It takes a lot longer, 18 months development time before we put the site live. And also, it's a lot slower to get momentum and users. You don't have an inbuilt base of users. You can't hook into as many viral elements as you can on Facebook. There are some advantages as well, though. We love having much more flexibility to develop in any way we want. We're not beholden to Facebook and the changes that they put out. And crucially, my favorite advantage is that we're not a competitor of Zynga, which we're very, very glad of. So far, it's been working pretty well. Ultimately, the decision is building outside of Facebook. It's a higher risk bet we're making, but we think the financial rewards at the end, if it works, will be commensurate and much higher also. So we put it live in, put the game live in April 2008, and we had a good steady growth throughout the first year. And then sort of the summer of this year, things really started to go crazy, and we hit our tipping point. And most of the growth so far has been word of mouth, which we're very, very pleased with. We're doing a little bit of bit more marketing now, but the word of mouth has been very, very important. And if there's one thing we'd say what caused this tipping point, it was adding in social features to the game. In the early days, it was very much more a one-to-one experience, a child playing with their pet monster. And as soon as we allowed users as soon as we made it easier to add friends and message each other, then growth really started to take off. So if you are building outside of Facebook, make sure you still have those crucial social features. Adults love social features, as we know. Social networks hugely popular. Kids do, absolutely as well. In terms of other elements, we've been profitable since May of this year, and increasingly profitable as the site grows. 92% gross margins. It's going really, really well at the moment. In terms of demographic data, we're roughly split a third between UK, US, and the rest of the world. I won't read off the slide, but just a few interesting points. Most of our users fall in the 7 to 11 age category, slightly more popular with girls, about 70%. And that bottom stat we're very proud of. That's about 30 million virtual items are bought every month. We'd love to be making $1 on each of those, but the items are bought for free by the users. There's a subscription element, which I'll talk more about in a moment. So this is a quick step through the product. Children adopt their own pet monster, they colour it, they give it a name, they fill in the adoption papers, and then it lives in their room, and it can tickle it and play with it and move it around, and basically nurture it and keep it happy and healthy. But one of the key elements we've got is the Puzzle Palace, which encourages children to come back every day to solve puzzles with their monster. We've got 35 different educational puzzle games. Parents love this element. There's a lot of teachers using it in schools, and the puzzles test everything from logic to anagrams to synonyms to flags of the world, and kids love this. They don't feel as if they're studying or learning. They feel as if they're playing games that records their top score. And they get Rocks, which is the in-game currency which allows them to go shopping. And kids absolutely love going virtual shopping, so they can go to the grocery store, or they can buy furniture at IKEA, or if they're very flush, if they're very flush with cash, they can go to Harrods, where the expensive items are. And then they get to customize their room and crucially to show it off to their friends. So this is my monster's room, Snow Crash. He's a very well looked after monster. You can see his health and happiness status. Got lots of rocks there. And what's critical to take away from this is what we've done is look very closely at the adult social networks and try to figure out what's worked and what hasn't. And this is essentially a Facebook or a MySpace page, but built for a child. Obviously it's safe, but it's got all the same kind of key elements. So a huge amount of customization, wallpaper, floor, different items you can put in there, and then all the status indicators. So how many visits I've had, what people have rated my room, how many pinboard messages, gifts. We've got a friends tree there that grows every time I get a new friend, and kids can show this off to their friends. Everything has a unique URL that they can use outside of Moshi, so they can pass it around in the playground, they can put it on forums and so forth, and they love having extra traffic and visitors checking out their room. So I mentioned earlier that the social features were the things that really caused the site to take off, so I just want to highlight a few of them. One of the first we launched was a pin board. Again, it's very similar to the wall in Facebook. Children can choose a colour for their post-it note, they can put a design on it and then send a message to friends. We've got a team of 18 moderators, not all of them are full-time, so 20 full-time staff and 18 freelance and moderation teams. So that's quite a hefty cost of business in the kids space, but obviously safety is very, very important. And the messages go through filters and so forth. We launched recently My News, which is like the news feed in Facebook. So you can see what your friends are up to, who's become friends with who's got rare items. The third one, bottom left, is the Friends Tree interface. You can add and show off who your BFFs are, your best friends forever. Amazing that changes almost daily with kids, so it's not exactly best friends forever. But they love doing that. Again, similar to Facebook, top friends, a lot of parallels between what's worked Facebook and what's working on our site, and very simple interface of finding friends and to approve them and so forth. And then the bottom is your finished customized room that, as I mentioned earlier, you can show off to other people and drive friends to come visit. So there's a big world to explore. This is where we're similar to other virtual worlds out there, Club Penguin and a whole range of other ones, but we focus a lot more on the social features. So we're going to be expanding the world in time. This is the most popular part of the game. As bizarre as it sounds, kids love adopting a virtual pet, but they love even more having virtual pets for their virtual pet. These are moshlings, and you can plant seeds in your moshi garden, and if you get the right combination of seeds, a little moshling will wander in. There are very common ones like Chop Chop the Cheeky Chimp, all the way through to the ultra rare Iggy in the bottom right hand corner. And again, you can then show it off in your room. If you've got the rare ones, you get more visitors to your room, you get more messages left, and it's proved very popular. And we're actually thinking at the moment about turning this into a Facebook game and fleshing out some ideas at the moment.